countdown's on now to the end of the regular season. Just 4 days to go in the Atlantic Coast Conference. And tonight here in Raleigh, one of 3 games on tap, is the only meeting of the regular season between North Carolina State and Boston College. We welcome you to PNC Arena in Raleigh for ACC College Hoops. And great to be with Corey Alexander. West Durham, welcome to our coverage. This time of year, whether it's late in the regular season or on into postseason, they always talk about how it becomes a guard's game. So I'll ask our resident guard here tonight, why has Eli Carter been so effective for Boston College?
I'm trying to figure out why it becomes a guard's game. I thought it was always a guard's game. But Eli Carter, will sure would agree with me. At 25 points, 9 assists his last time out against Georgia Tech. He is really starting to play a great brand of basketball for the Eagles.
Well, we get quite a guard matchup here tonight because the hardy star to watch is the conference's leading scorer, Cat Barber.
And not only the conference's leading scorer, but he also attacks the basket better than anyone in the league. The mid-range he's always been good at. However, extending his range beyond the three-point arc has made Cat Barber a difference. But we mentioned leads the league in free throw attempts as well.
Well, and he's closing in on an NC State record. We'll see if he gets it tonight. He leads the league in not only 20-point games, but also 30-point contests this season as well. Corey, give us our 4 keys to success tonight for these two.
For Boston College, they have to keep NC State off the line. Cat Barber is great at getting to the free throw line, adding points to his tab, but they gave up way too many to Georgia Tech in their last time out. And for NC State, they have to find something to play for. They already know their seed in the ACC tournament, but they've got to find that extra motivation to get a win here on senior night.
Revenge might be the notion tonight for the Wolfpack. A year ago, Boston College beat them by 16 at Chestnut Hill. The Pack and Eagles are next.
ACC College Hoops is sponsored by your local Ford dealer. Works. It's work season. And the Steakhouse Thick Burger, only at Hardee's.
Well, in many ways, the guy that brought big-time college basketball to Tobacco Road was Everett Case, who came here from the state of Indiana and guided the Wolfpack through the formation of ACC basketball and is responsible for such marquee events like the Great Dixie Classic, and really, which was the forerunner to what we now know will take place next week in Washington, the ACC tournament. As we welcome you back to Raleigh, and we welcome back Jerome Robinson tonight, Corey. The script and the homecoming is fulfilled. Robinson from Broughton High School here in Raleigh returns to the BC lineup tonight after the injured wrist.
And I like what Jim Christian is doing, is putting him out there at the beginning of the game, allow him to get the start here in his hometown in front of his friends and family, and more importantly, to kind of get those nerves out of the way early, getting back on the court for the first time in over a month.
He needed a Corey Alexander-like 30 tickets for the game tonight.
Only 30?
Only 30.
I would ask for a section. Just give me section 110.
Clifford and Abu get us started. Here go the Wolfpack and Eagles tonight in the ACC. And a zone by Boston College. And a lob for Abu. And one.
And right off the bat, just like you recognize the zone, so did Mark Godfrey. And the Wolfpack, Cat Barber splitting off the pick and roll. And everyone in the ACC knows when you throw it up to Abu, you better have a cape on if you're going to try to contest him that high.
Free throw good by Malik Abu. The sophomore from Boston has 13 double-doubles this year, and he's got 3 to start the night for the Pack.
And I like what Mark Godfrey's doing. Cody Martin actually getting the start on Eli Carter, knowing how aggressive Carter's going to try to be on the offensive end, putting probably his best perimeter defender on Carter.
There's another big-time athlete, Garland Owens, who tried to slip it to Clifford. Eagles will turn it over.
You're absolutely right. Garland Owens is a guy that is always going to provide some type of highlight. Before this game is over, we're going to see something that almost brings you out of your seat, even here on the road game from Garland Owens.
Now man-to-man by Boston College on the second exchange for State. Barber and Carter, that's a pretty good matchup there. Here is Abu against Owens. Robinson helped Carter. Barber's first shot of front rim miss. Here's Robinson and Eli Carter. Robinson. Owens slashes in. Jerome in traffic will draw the foul.
And that's the best case scenario for Jerome Robinson. Aggressive early, trying to attack the basket, but getting an opportunity to get to the free throw line And you mentioned the first time he's played since January 27th, so there are going to be some nerves for Jerome Robinson, especially playing in front of his friends and family here at home. This was the best case scenario for him to get to the free throw line and get a chance for early points.
71% free throw shooter is Robinson, as you see Mike Eads and Cat Barber talk here a little bit. And I think it was not anything about the way the game was going on. I think Cat might have gotten a finger in the eye, maybe. As Robinson missed the free throw.
Eads was actually checking on Cat.
Yep.
And making sure he was okay to continue, giving him a little bit of time to. Then he actually pointed to Mark Godfrey to check him out.
Second free throw by Robinson, no good. The youngster cannot help but have a bit of anxiousness playing here tonight in his hometown.
Absolutely. We see another youngster with the turnover. Maverick Rowan stepping on the line. And that's one of the areas that really has hurt NC State this year. They haven't handled the ball extremely well. And when you're playing shorthanded often, you've got to take advantage of every opportunity you get on the offensive end.
State on the Abu three-point trip. Still the only points in the ball game. Carter wraps it to Clifford. Big fella's played well as of late for Coach Christian. Jump hook with the left hand, bounce to Anya. Rowan. Well, you don't give him much of a window, do you?
No, you do not. And if he is one of the guys that can really get going, especially from beyond the three-point arc. So you want to try to keep him out of any open looks as much as possible, as well as Caleb Martin, but Cody's capable of knocking it down as well.
Abu turns and scores over the top of Clifford.
And we've seen this from Abu before, where he comes out and is extremely aggressive early in games. I can remember being here one time. He actually scored the first 14 points of the game for NC State, but at times he'll disappear or get in foul trouble. So he has to continue to stay on the court and stay aggressive for as long as he's out there.
Here's Owens, and he stepped on the sideline out of bounds. It turns over to State here in a 5-0 game.
But Abdul Malik Abu, a tremendous athlete, and is continuing to grow as a basketball player. That's a tough shot. Moving to his right, fading away from the basket, that's a tough basket to be in. But Mark Godfrey wants to try to continue to get him opportunities as they go back to him again in the post.
Skips it across for Rowan. 3-ball. And Carter the rebound. Barnes-Tompkins. Back for Eli Carter. He'll try for three. And here comes the Wolfpack. Oh.
They don't call him Cat for nothing. He can change directions as well as anyone playing basketball, not just in the ACC and not just in college, but anyone playing. He knows how to change directions.
Bump and foul on the freshman from Phoenix, Sammy Barnes-Tompkins. His first, number 2 on Boston College. Mark Godfrey, season number 5 in Raleigh, 106 wins with the Pack, 384 in 19 seasons as a head coach, a native of Crestline, Ohio. And Abu is off and running. He's got all 7 of State's points here.
And Abu showing that jump shot, that continued development. Only a sophomore still, continuing to grow into his role here for Mark Godfrey, but coming off to a great start here tonight.
Owens. State man-to-man. Back for Clifford. Tried to dump it to Owens, and Anya rolls to the deck. Held ball, and it will stay with the Eagles with just 3 to shoot, though. Jim Christian now in season number 2 at Chestnut Hill, and it's been a hard fight. The Eagles are winless in 16 league games, just 7 wins in 29 contests. Robinson. In traffic, Carter had it swatted out by Anya. Back for Clifford's jumper. Good for the big fella, Dennis Clifford.
That block shot ties the school record. B.J. Anya now tied with Thurl Bailey. Number 1 all-time here at NC State.
You're going to go tie somebody. It's a good guy to tie.
That is a great name to be tied with, but I'm sure B.J.'s looking to take over at some point tonight and be in first place all by himself.
Turnover by the Wolfpack. Almost 4 minutes gone. State a 5-point lead.
And whenever you can get into a record book here at NC State, you've done something.
Yep.
With the tradition of this program, and you see B.J. Anya now tied with Thurl Bailey, with the tradition of this program, anytime you get into a record as Jerome Robinson gets his first bucket, coming back, but you've done something special.
Kevin Thompson on that list.
KT?
Yeah.
He might have blocked a couple of my shots.
I think you could write that part down.
Yeah, absolutely.
Abu, another jump shot. The sophomore from Boston has got all 9 of state points. Heard Corey talk about that 14-point start he had here earlier in the year. Jumper rebound, Robinson, and he almost got the and one. That'll get us to a break here in Raleigh. B.J. Anya from our nation's capital puts his name in the Wolfpack record book. Malik Abu off to a sensational start tonight for the Pack.
And he has been extremely aggressive, and off the bat it was the lob, and then he took matters into his own hands. The turnaround jumper, the face-up jumper from about 17 feet, and then just a little inside the paint, knocking it down once again, but showing off all of his plethora of skills, and he's continued to play well, very well recently, putting up double-double numbers over his past 3 games.
Absolutely. Averaging 14 and 9 against the conference. That rebound number of 9.1 is 6th best in the ACC. Jerome Robinson will be at the free throw line. Abu committed the foul, by the way, prior to the timeout.
And that's one of the areas for Abu. And, of course, that's not a bad foul, but he has to be very wary of his foul trouble. When you get off to a start and you score 9 early points, you don't want to pick up a second silly foul and have to go sit down. So if he's going to get another foul, it's got to be a good one, but more importantly, do everything he can to stay out of foul trouble and stay on the court.
Second free throw is good. Just one of the first 4 for Jerome Robinson at the line. He's got 3 points. Cody Martin, Leonard Freeman on the floor now for NC State. Replaced Anya during the timeout. And here is Abu with Clifford working. Up strong, layup good. 11 for Abu. In fact, it's Malik Abu 11, Boston College 5.
And I'm sure Mark Godfrey's just fine without a timeout. He's going to go to Abu and continue to ride the hot hand. And Abu paying it off. And at this point, if you're Boston College, you may have to think about sending a second defender to double team, because I'm not sure Clifford can guard him one-on-one.
Here is Clifford, squeezes around and scores. Second field goal for Dennis Clifford.
And Dennis Clifford now going my route. Your best defense is your offense. So therefore, if you can't stop a guy from scoring, you better put some points on the board yourself.
Rowan down low for Abu. Dumps inside, layup Martin. Caleb Martin. Or Cody Martin, I beg your pardon.
That's the one I think people will forgive you for.
Yeah.
You confuse those 2 guys, it's not hard to do.
Well, Caleb wears 14, Cody wears 15. And by the way, Cody born a minute before Caleb. Owens a 3 out front. And Boston College is within 3.
And that's the thing. Even though Abu has had that great start, if you're Boston College, you have to be okay where you are right now, especially playing on the road and allowing your team to continue to develop some momentum as well as some confidence, which they've struggled to do on the road during ACC season.
Here's Freeman. Doesn't score much, but is a pretty good man inside defensively in particular. There's a little runner by Barber, and Freeman cleans it up on the backside.
And that's what Leonard Freeman does. He's a tremendous rebounder on both ends of the floor. But looking at Leonard, he has a limp going on. Had a surgery over the summer and had a 14-inch rod placed in his leg. And watching him right now, he seems to be lingering up and down the floor a bit.
Inside and going to work against Clifford.
And if you're Boston College, maybe you found something. You continue to try to play through Dennis Clifford. You mentioned earlier how well he's played here recently. And so seeing him get off to a good start offensively, you may want to continue to look his direction as much as you possibly can, especially in the post.
Abu. Rowan. And back at the post with 6 to shoot, and Abu will fall away. Slapped out of there, and let's see. Cody to Rowan, and then the save Abu to Barber.
And great job by Abu, tight-roping the half-court line to save that to Barber. But the problem was for Boston College, no one was pursuing the basketball. It was only white uniforms going after the ball.
Barber in traffic. Carter pulled it away. 3-on-1. Owens. The flush.
Well, it wasn't his most spectacular dunk. However, we mentioned before, he's going to do something that raises you up out of your seat. A beautiful drop-off by Eli Carter, knowing exactly where his finisher was in comparison to going to Barnes-Tompkins on the other side.
Eagles to within one. Abu to work in traffic. Freeman again cleaning up and scores. Corey, that's like gravy for Godfrey.
It's great, but if you look at Leonard Freeman, he is limping significantly, and we've got to keep an eye on that. He actually, Grimm is coming back down on that possession.
11.5 minutes to go, opening frame. 10 to shoot for Carter. Clifford calls for it against Freeman. 3 to shoot. Dennis into traffic with 1 on the clock, scores with the left hand.
Well, what Abu did for NC State earlier, Dennis Clifford is now doing for Boston College, pretty much scoring every time you put the basketball in his hands. And if you're Jim Christian, I'm sure you're happy with where your team is right now. Only down 1 on the road. Continue to stem the tide here against State, and maybe they can come away with their first ACC win of the year.
We're going to break in the action. 10:55 to go first half. Leonard Freeman off the Wolfpack bench has given him a couple hoops. But a moment ago, Carter on the bounce to Owens.
ACC College Hoops is brought to you by the official corporate champions of the ACC, Geico, Toyota, and New York Life.
Well, we're coming up on the 42nd anniversary of the greatest game played in ACC basketball history. The 1974 title game in Greensboro with NC State beating Maryland. And, of course, Norm Sloan's Pack not only won the regular season, the tournament, and then went back to Greensboro and won the national championship when they beat Al McGuire and Marquette on a Monday night in the Gate City.
You are a historian of the game, my man. I can appreciate it.
Fall away and a foul called on Irvin's Mesniaks against Caleb Martin, who is coming to the ball game, averaging 10.5 and 5 against the league. Mesniaks, the freshman from Latvia, his first.
And Mark Godfrey now going with a smaller lineup with Cody Martin playing the 4, Caleb Martin at the 3, Leonard Freeman going to the bench. And it's something we have to continue to monitor with him. It looks as though he's holding that right leg. But this is when you can get away with playing a smaller lineup against Boston College, because Mesniaks actually will play the 4 position for Jim Christian. So this is one of the very few games that Mark Godfrey can have an advantage playing the smaller lineup.
2-point lead for the Pack. Carter. Mesniaks defended by Rowan. Barnes-Tompkins is a guy who can catch fire from the perimeter, too, for Coach Christian and the Eagles.
Yeah, Barnes-Tompkins has really started to play a lot better with the absence of Jerome Robinson, as A.J. Turner knocked down the 3 in his first game back since injuring his leg against North Carolina close to a month ago. So Turner and Robinson both starting freshmen all year long for Boston College. And here we are in the last week of the regular season. Jim Christian actually getting both those guys back into his lineup.
Turner's 3 puts him in front by a point. Corey, you're right. He's missed 5 ball games and averaged 4 points and 3.5 rebounds before he was hurt.
Barnes-Tompkins does a great job penetrating and then having the vision to find Turner, who has some confidence coming off the bench early in this game, knocking down the 3.
Barber is still scoreless, and that might be at least one of the stories here early in the first 10 minutes and change.
Well, that's part of the story, and also only 1 free throw so far for NC State, and which is such an important part of their game.
Carter, how tough was that shot?
That was an old man in the park vet move right there. That was getting to the rim, knowing I'm not going to out-jump this guy, so therefore I'm going to put a body on him, take his ability away to block the shot, and then lay it up high off the glass. Eli Carter looked like a professor, not even a graduate transfer. He looked like a professor on that move.
Like a guy with tenure? Rowan, front rim miss, and a foul on Anya, crashing the offensive glass for the Pack.
This is what you call a vet move, Wes. You see Eli Carter going, well, I'm not going to out-jump that guy, so let me put a body on him and lay this high off the glass, as he makes it to where Cody Martin can't even jump. Avoids B.J. Anya. It's a great play. One that he can do at the park for the next 30 years.
Eli Carter, the grad transfer from Florida, started his college career at Rutgers. And now finishing up at that last campaign with Jim Christian in Boston College. BC a 3-point lead. Turner. Carter in deep three. And Abu the rebound in front of Jallo. Here is Barber front court for NC State. This pace favors BC, doesn't it, Corey?
It really does, and the fact that Cat Barber still hasn't scored, you see BC doing a very good job on him. Abu has had his way early in the game, but if you can keep Cat Barber from putting up high numbers again to the free throw line, you'll have your chance against State, and I'm sure Cat heard that.
His
and
first
did something about it.
How about his first points with 8:25 to go in the first half?
And if you're Jim Christian, when you come into this game and somebody tells you, hey, you'll hold Cat Barber scoreless for pretty much the first 12 minutes of the game, you have to be happy with your team's chances.
Robinson against his zone now. 8 to shoot for Carter out front. Off the Mesniak screen. Rescreen and Robinson a three. Long rebound chased down by Barber and then bumped and fouled by Jerome Robinson for his second. And that is 4 on Boston College. And we get a break here in Raleigh. Barber's in the books. Little crossover pull-up 2. State trails 1. Well, look who's here tonight. 2 years after his career ended at NC State on an unbelievable performance of 42 points. T.J. Warren of the Phoenix Suns is here. Unfortunately, he's here because his season is over out in the desert thanks to foot surgery right around the All-Star break, and he's been injury-plagued in 2 years out there.
He has, but against Boston College, he went out with a bang.
Yes, he did.
2 years ago. And that 42 was after a 41-point performance the game prior to that. So, you know, I wasn't a math major, but that's 41 and a half a game over 2 games.
Yes.
That's part of the reason why he has the ACC Player of the Year trophy in the man cave at home.
Barnes-Tompkins in transition. Deflected out. Robinson scoops up the long rebound. Speaking of Phoenix, Sammy Barnes-Tompkins, originally committed to St. John's after the coaching change. Re-inked with Jim Christian in BC from the Southwest.
And Jim Christian, once he saw NC State in the zone, was quick to get Barnes-Tompkins back into the game. One of their better shooters, and now spacing the floor with 4 perimeter players and playing around Dennis Clifford on the inside.
Nice pass by the big fella to Robinson for the layup.
And that's the advantage you have with a guy like Dennis Clifford, a great passer from the high post, very skilled. And Dennis Clifford, when he came into the league 4 years ago, we thought that he was going to be a guy that was a star. Spent 3 years basically injured, but now having the opportunity to really get it done in his senior year. His team hasn't had a great year, but individually he's been much better.
And Barber on the drive, and the foul is against Barnes-Tompkins. Or beg your pardon, it's Owens, his first. 5, not 55. 5 against the Eagles. Barber on the spin. Barnes-Tompkins blocked it. 3-point lead for the Eagles. Lead for Clifford. 10 for Dennis Clifford, Corey.
And there are not a lot of 7-footers that can catch that pass and finish it off in traffic the way that Dennis Clifford just did, and just showing a bit of that skill we talked about earlier. You see Clifford get out and run, and does a great job. A beautiful pass by Turner, but Clifford to be able to catch that and finish with the traffic around him, great play for a 7-footer.
Corey, and we were kind of told a couple of years ago, there's a question whether or not he'd keep playing basketball. But he's a great testament to hard work and getting his health back, and kind of sets the table for tonight's trivia question. Which player in tonight's game, Corey, has played in 42 different arenas in his college career? It's our Toyota trivia question. And I must tell you, the great research of Bob Rathbun has helped us with tonight's trivia question.
Well, anytime Bob Rathbun's around, I'm the second dumbest guy in the block. So therefore, I know I'm going to not be be able to get that because I'm
42 arenas.
42 arenas. 42 arenas.
In a college career.
In a college career?
No.
Bob Rafton can come up with stuff that I don't have a chance to get, so I have no idea.
Come on, we're going to play along.
Okay, I'll play along.
We almost got Sammy Barnes-Tompkins over here to help us with the trivia question, too.
Yeah, we were going to play a little too much because I was about to get up and run if he came over the table. I am too old to rehab. I'll tell you that right now. I don't need any injuries. And I like Sammy a lot, but I can't catch him. It might hurt my back.
11 to shoot for Barber. Stayed out of the timeout. Rowan to 3. And now Robinson on the run with the long rebound. Owens!
Here comes.
Oh! Garland Owens.
You can't allow him to have a run at the rim. I get excited when I see him have some space going to the rim. He's always going to give you something special.
5:40 to play in the first half. And Boston College doesn't look like a team winless in conference play.
Absolutely not. Give Jim Christian and his staff a tremendous amount of credit for keeping these guys prepared to play. And now defensively, they're locked in. And they've got NC State throwing the ball all over the gym. That's the second time the ball has been in the stands over there. And the second time that Garland Owens has had a great run to the rim, which normally means it's going to be a spectacular finish.
4 turnovers for the Pack. 7-point lead for the Eagles. Barnes-Tompkins a 3. And the rebound for Barber. Pretty big 5 minutes here for Coach Godfrey.
A very big 5 minutes, because the one thing that you don't want to do is continue to allow Boston College to operate with this type of confidence. But if your defense is not up to task, there's nothing you can do about it. And Abu actually turned his ankle on that possession. He got called for the travel. But you see that left ankle a little gimpy when he went for the up and under move, and you saw it roll over. And with Leonard Freeman sitting on the bench, kind of nursing that leg, the front line is already somewhat thin for Mark Godfrey.
Well, you briefly saw 6'8" freshman Sean Kirk enter the lineup for North Carolina State. Played in just 6 ball games in conference play, averaging 4 minutes. He had 2 minutes at Syracuse in the Wolfpack loss on Saturday. Kirk defends Turner. And here is Clifford. Eli Carter cues one up. And Owens, the second chance rebound for Boston College.
And this is the time for Boston College where Jim Christian needs Eli Carter to be more of a playmaker than a scorer.
Robinson a 3 out of the corner. 9-0 run by the Eagles.
And that was a great play by Carter, really manipulating off the screen and roll, drawing the defense, and then finding Robinson in the corner. And if you're a Boston College fan and you look at what they're doing with both Turner and Robinson on the floor, it makes you wonder, would they be in this situation if they had Robinson healthy for the entire ACC season?
Rebound by Carter off the Martin miss. Skip across for Owens. Clifford. Can't get by Anya. Turner, another 3. 6 for A.J. Turner. And BC is hitting 60% from the floor. The lead for the Eagles is 13. At 33-20, we continue from Raleigh next. Well, Boston College leads by 13, Corey.
Well, Wes, one thing about having a young team that doesn't know that they're not good on the road, that doesn't think about the fact that they don't have an ACC win, because right now, they're the best team on the court the way they played in the first half, and they're doing it with their youngsters, getting the job done. A.J. Turner, Jerome Robinson, Sammy Barnes-Tompkins, these guys are playing with a tremendous amount of confidence, and Jim Christian has had these guys continuing to play hard regardless as to what's going on in the season. And right now in the first half, he's seeing it manifest right in front of his eyes.
A 19-3 run and 12 straight by the Eagles have carried them to the 13-point lead.
And you see they're locked in defensively. They have even more of a pep in their step on the defensive end of the floor.
Barber can't finish the scoop. Anya helps him out with the tap follow. First points for B.J. Anya. BC, the fact they're shooting 60.9% from the floor in a stark contrast for a team that shoots under 39% in conference play.
Well, that means that they're playing well, but also a team that's giving up 49% field goal percentage against the league. So NC State right now is not a good defensive team, and Boston College is doing a tremendous job exploiting their weaknesses.
Barber. Only the one field goal at the 8:25 mark of this first half for Cat Barber. And on cue, he punches in another one.
And just like that, a 4-0 run out of the timeout for NC State. And now this is where Jim Christian has to be careful, because what he doesn't want is all that momentum his team has built up in the first half to go away. So if you see another scoreless trip for BC and a score by NC State, he may want to think about a timeout to calm his team down.
10 to shoot for Carter. Deep three from the left. Owens off the baseline. 9 for Garland Owens. And the last two have been special at the iron.
And that was a momentum stopper for Boston College. And this, the junior Garland Owens stepping up, making a play for his team when they need it most, because you could tell NC State was starting to pick up some momentum on their home court.
That ball got knocked away. It'll stay with the Pack. Don't forget, another edition of ACC All Access comes your way on your regional sports network. An inside look at the Conference Wrestling Championship captured by NC State, and a look back at all the action from the women's basketball tournament that started today at the Coliseum in Greensboro. Olivia Harlan hosts ACC All Access. Check it out on your regional sports network. Barber, another deep two. 1:40 to go. And an 11-point lead for visiting Boston College. Carter and Edie Jallo, the offensive foul on the moving screen. His first and the 6th on Boston College. Boy, Barber, tough struggle here early.
It has been, and Boston College has done a very good job not sending him to the free throw line. 215 made free throws this year, 9 away from tying the school record for a season, 10 away from breaking it, but has not had a free throw attempt yet here in the first half.
15 to shoot for Abu. Minute 15 left, and Barber's 3 out front. 36th triple of the year for the junior from Hampton.
And that's where he's really improved as a basketball player. Being able to shoot that 3 has made him even tougher to guard and keep him getting to the basket.
Turner leans in on Kirk. Tapped around, AJ the rebound. Look away for Carter's 3. Eli Carter can't buy one. Here's Barber working on Carter. Pretty good show. Skips to Rowan, but a whistle and a foul. If we could clear the floor and get Barber and Carter one-on-one, that'd be worth the ticket, wouldn't it?
I tell you this, it'd be a lot of step backs, a lot of crossovers, a lot of dribbling, but I'm sure there'd be a few buckets going in as well.
Foul on Owens, his second, 7 now on BC. And that's helped the Eagles cause 2, Corey. You don't put State in the bonus till the final 37 seconds of the first half. And
that definitely helps, with, especially when you talk about Cat Barber getting to the line and what he's been able to do this year. Leads the ACC in free throws made and shooting close to 90%. So when you've got a guy that gets there that often and shoots so well, you know, that's a difference in averaging, 4 to 5 points more per game. And when you're averaging 23, that's one of the ways you go about leading the ACC in scoring.
Jim Christian, a quick timeout. 37 seconds to go. Barber's got all 9 of his points here in the last part of this first half. Six-point lead for Boston College. The Wolfpack faithful in here tonight at PNC Arena. And our Gary Queen fan cam. Catching up with the folks that have made the last regular season appearance by the Wolfpack in this building. By the way, Boston College, Corey, 11 assists on their 15 made field goals here in this first half.
Well, they've operated very well in the offensive end. A lot of it has to do with playing through Dennis Clifford.
Barnes-Tompkins, foul line jumper no good. State can get the last shot here in this first half. And maybe take it down somewhere in the neighborhood of, what, 3? A triple here, make it a 3-point game. A 9-2 run so far. Barber, the scoop, and the score. At the horn. 4-point game at the break. Cat Barber finishes with 11. The biggest lead for Boston College was 13.
And NC State did a very good job at the end of the first half in stemming the tide and starting to get a little bit of momentum back in their favor after Boston College played with a tremendous amount of confidence, and it was behind Cat Barber they were able to get back into this game.
Stay tuned. Halftime is next from Raleigh. BC leads by 4 at the break. You're watching ACC College Hoops.
ACC College Hoops is sponsored by Husqvarna. Now through February 29th, trade in your old lawnmower and receive a $50 rebate on the purchase of a new one. See your Husqvarna dealer for details.
Boston College leads at the half for just the 3rd time in ACC play. Big Dennis Clifford has got 10 points to lead the Eagles in this first half. More from Raleigh coming up at the half. Boston College with a 4-point lead. Well, back here in Raleigh, 2 games are final tonight. Virginia Tech, a winner in Blacksburg over Pittsburgh. Miami, an impressive win over Notre Dame. And Corey, here are the updated ACC standings.
In the most competitive conference in the country all season long, you see the log jam, 9-8 for 4 teams, 2 teams at 7-10, and that middle of the pack is really what has made the ACC a special conference this year.
Well, somebody's going to get the regular season trophy in the ACC. Others get an Emmy. My man Corey Alexander won an Emmy this weekend for his role in Kings of the Court.
I don't have a daughter, but this is her now. This is my baby. I've been waiting to get my hands on this one.
Four-point lead for Boston College. What catches your eye here, Corey?
It's the three-point shooting by Boston College compared to NC State. That's the biggest thing. And also look at the points in the paint. 20-14 advantage for BC.
All right, Eagles lead by 4. See if they can pick up their first league win when we come back to Raleigh after you see this. Four-point lead for Boston College. We go to the second half here in Raleigh with Corey Alexander, Wes Durham, Dave Berenger, our producer, Billy McCoy, our director.
I'm surrounded by stars. I got you beside me, those two guys in the truck. I tell you what, it's a great evening here.
Pretty interesting night of ACC basketball, the 3rd and final game on the slate. Here is Martin. Cody starting the second half with Anya Rowan Abu, who went out of here red hot to start the night, but cooled off in the last few minutes. And Martin can't finish, but draws the foul from Owens. And that will be his 3rd. Garland Owens Jr. out of Gaithersburg, Maryland, hands BC their first foul of the second half, and that'll send Cody to the line, where he's 60% on the year.
Well, Boston College coming out in the second half defensively, they're going to trap the post. I'm not sure if they need to trap. If it's B.J. Anya, they need to trap when the ball goes in the hands of Abu. But B.J. Anya does a great job there getting the ball out of the trap. And Cody Martin finding himself available right in the middle of the paint.
Cuts it down to a 3-point game. It'll stay there. Off the miss of free throw number 2. Carter working against Barber.
And the change for Mark Godfrey, he now has Cat Barber guarding Eli Carter. It was Cody Martin starting on Carter first. But I'm sure he does that to try to conserve some energy from Cat, knowing that he's probably going to play in 40 minutes tonight.
Clifford for Robinson with 5 to shoot. Back to Clifford. And the dunk for the big fella. Gives him 12.
Great ball movement. Jerome Robinson with a beautiful pass. And you can't help but imagine what if. Would BC be in this situation if Robinson had played? But now, Maverick Rowan knocking down the 3, only the second 3-pointer of the game for NC State.
Robinson, here's Barnes-Tompkins. Yeah, the other one belongs to Barber. Part of that flurry he had in the latter part of the first half. It's a 2-point game, Corey. Barber to tie. Layup good. 13 for the Cat.
I'll tell you this, with him coming at you full speed, there's nothing you can do about it. But what you just saw And I've coached Cat Barber for 2 years when he was in high school. I've watched him for 3 years. That's where he's best. As Maverick Rowan knocks down the three on the wing, and then Cat Barber coming at you with a full head of steam is extremely difficult to cover. But seeing him get his body squared, his shoulder squared in front of Eli Carter, he is a phenomenal on-ball defender, and that's one of the areas where he really hasn't been able to be as effective this year because he couldn't risk getting in foul trouble. But that's what he probably does better than any part of his game.
Barber now working on a redirect against Barnes-Tompkins. Here's BC on the long rebound. 2 minutes gone. Second half. Turner a three. How about that? A.J. Turner hadn't played in 6 ball games, and he's knocked down 3 triples for his 9 points.
No, I'll tell you this, Wes. I have had Boston College coming to the state of North Carolina 3 times. I had them at UNC. I had them at Wake Forest. And that Wake Forest performance left a lot to be desired. But to see these guys come out and shoot with this confidence here tonight, it's a testament to Jim Christian and his staff to get these guys ready to play here this evening. And Jerome Robinson never even looks at the basket, knowing that he has A.J. Turner on the left wing wide open. And Turner rewards his teammate and his coach by giving his team a 3-point lead.
Corey, we've been around Jim Christian enough to know game-to-game preparation is one thing. He's done a lot of teaching this year in trying to build this program back.
Well, he's got 9 freshmen, 7 incoming freshmen, and then 2 redshirt freshmen, and then the newcomer Eli Carter. So you've got 10 guys who have never played a game in a Boston College uniform going out there and competing for you night in, night out. But he has kept them up and motivated, and you have to feel good for Jim Christian to see his team having some success so far in this game.
Yep. Because most teams had sacked the bats if they're 0-16 and, 7-22 coming into the last week of the regular season. But they come in here and played with the vim and vigor tonight and lead by 3. Long rebound for Cody Martin off his own miss. State has withstood the Boston College flurry in terms of its field goal shooting in this first half. This has become more possession to possession at the start of the second frame, and a foul inside will put a Boo on the line.
But we saw a Boo so aggressive early in the game, but as the first half went on, he faded away and he wasn't getting the basketball inside. It wasn't as aggressive. Now, it may have had a lot to do with the fact that he turned that ankle on the way to the rim. But now here in the second half, you see Mark Godfrey wanting to make sure they get the ball back into his hands and give him an opportunity to play the same way he did to start off the game, where he scored the first 9 points for the Wolfpack.
We'll see Godfrey with Jeff Dunlap, Bobby Lutz. They're flanking him on the Wolfpack bench, and Abu got 1 of 2 and has a dozen tonight. Turner ahead of this pack. Transition chance. Robinson a 3. 11 for Robinson in his return to the lineup for Boston College after the wrist injury against Florida State.
And then the turnover. Well, almost turnover, but when you look at what NC State's got going on, Cat Barber attacking the rim, but it's not about what they do offensively. The defense is the issue. Jerome Robinson should never get that much space to knock down the wide open 3, and Turner had it earlier in the half.
Barber's got 15. Barnes-Tompkins and 1. First points for the freshman from Phoenix. Barber draws his first. Number 1 of the second half on State.
And this is the simple flex cut. Cat Barber gets beat on the cut, and then as you see those arms held over instead of straight up, that's where the foul comes in. Sammy Barnes-Thompson does a very good job finishing that play off, and the opportunity here to make it a 6-point lead for the Eagles.
Barnes-Tompkins, whose dad played collegiately at Iowa State. Gary Tompkins misses the free throw.
But Dennis Clifford there with the offensive board and gaining another possession for Boston College off of a missed free throw.
Abu the foul, his second. 2 on the pack.
You can't help but be extremely impressed with the way the Eagles have approached this game, let alone whether they win or not, the way that they've come out, because they have struggled tremendously on the road. And to be where they are right now says a lot about the way that these guys have come out, their mental approach.
Well, we'll get a break here in Raleigh. NC State trails by 5 at home.
ACC College Hoops is sponsored by the Works Aero Carts. Go to aerocart.com to see the only 8-in-1 all-purpose lifter, carrier, and mover that lightens every load.
Well, for most that visited William Neal Reynolds Coliseum, it was a house of horrors. There's the old center jump circle from the fabled barn of basketball that Everett Case built on the Wolfpack campus. And for 17 seasons, NC State's been over here next to the fairgrounds at the PNC Arena. We welcome you back to ACC College Hoops.
I love Reynolds Coliseum, though. That was a great place to play basketball.
Clifford on the little hook across the lane. Clifford's got 14 on his 7th field goal. But you tell me you went for how many in there as a rookie?
24 as a rookie, 27 as a sophomore.
Well, wait a second.
And then 22 my last game. I don't know if that was my redshirt junior year, whatever you call it. It was my last year, 22 that year.
They'll have a plaque in there for you.
I had a lot of fun at Reynolds Coliseum.
7-point lead for Boston College, and Martin strokes the three. Caleb Martin, 68-3 of the year.
And that's what NC State needs. They have to have Martin and Rowan step up to make some shots, to loosen up the pressure defensively on Cat Barber, to give him those cracks to be able to get to the rim.
Clifford, fall away over Anya. And the rebound for Martin, and a foul on Mesniaks is his second and the 4th on Jim Christian's team.
I tell you what, Dennis Clifford went into the trick bag on that one. He is showing us a little bit of everything. The left-hand running hook across the lane earlier. Now the fadeaway. The fadeaway didn't fall in. But Dennis Clifford is feeling really good about himself here tonight.
These two teams are 9 of 14 from the floor to start this second half. Barber to a boot. Mesniaks held his ground, drew the charge. And that's 3 on Abdul Malik Abu.
But a great
on State.
And a great call by Mike Eads. You see the right arm come out from Abu, so there's no question about the foul. And give Mesniaks credit, because you see the right arm extended. Once that forearm is extended, that's an easy call. Abu can look confused as much as he wants to, but that's an easy call to make.
Corey, that point of emphasis is on the arm this year too, right?
It absolutely is, and you cannot displace a defender or an offensive player. So if you move them out of their guarding area, that's going to be an offensive foul.
7 turnovers on State, and Mesniaks drops in a 3, just a 29% three-point shooter. The freshman from Latvia, his first points. The lead back to 7 for the Eagles, who are winless in ACC play.
But their offensive production has really added some enthusiasm to what they've been able to do defensively.
And 1 for the Cat. Foul will be on Barnes-Tompkins, Corey.
And even though that was a foul on Barnes-Tompkins, when you look at the offensive end, Jerome Robinson finding Mesniaks at the top of the key, knocking down another 3. But when you look at this play, that is a tough individual move. A tough bucket from Cat Barber. You don't want to foul him shooting that, but if you're Barnes-Tompkins and Cat Barber makes that shot, you say, hey, great shot, we go back down and play defense. But that is much better defensive effort than what Mark Godfrey is getting from his Wolfpack right now.
4-point game. Barber now with 18 in the ball game. Almost 6 minutes gone, second half. 3 is long, and here's Barber. Pull up on Clifford. Anya the follow. Big fella. Timeout, Boston College. Little lift from B.J. Anya.
But when you have a 7'9" wingspan, it allows you to make plays that very few can make. B.J. Anya covering from one side of the rim to the other to get his Wolfpack within 2.
All right, our Bass Pro Shop's in the net. I'm going to let one number 12 talk about another number 12.
Well, with this one, you got to think about is the Bass Pro Shop's in the net, but this is the cat out of the bag, and he has brought out the whole bag of tricks. Cat Barber getting it done every which way possible on the court, offensively, defensively, and the one that you love, the tough bucket, step back, and 1 to to 18 so far for Cat Barber. And we mentioned leads the ACC at over 23 points per game.
Got 19 games of 20 or more, leads the league with 8 games of 30 or more. Robinson can't finish, but draws the foul, and it's on Anya. His third and 4 on the pack here in the second half.
And I'm a big fan of Jerome Robinson and what he brings to this team. And this guy had started playing really good basketball before he got injured, breaking that wrist in mid-January. But he has continued to play better and better. And now getting back on the court, he gives this team a dimension that they've really been lacking over the last, month and a half. And it's no coincidence the fact that they're in this game and playing so much better here in his hometown of Raleigh.
He's got 12, but he's just 2 of 6 at the free throw line here in the ball game. 3-point lead for Boston College. Cat Barber got to be a little more aggressive looking for his own shot here, Corey.
I don't think that's even a question. That's going to happen at this point of the game. He knows it's going to be up to him to make plays, and not only for himself, but his teammates as well.
Rowan with 10 to shoot. Forced it through traffic and got the roll.
And that's the evolution of his game. Maverick Rowan wasn't doing that early in the year. He was primarily just a shooter. But as the season's gone along, he's learned that people are going to run him off that three-point line. Now he's putting it on the floor, finding his way to the rim.
Carter got a break on Christian's bench. Has come back in, got that blocked. Here's Barber. Scooting through, scooping, can't finish. BC with the 1-point lead. Carter.
But I'm not sure if they gave it to him or not, but I believe that was the record breaker for B.J. Anya.
Yep, we'll have to double check. I think you're right, though, and there's a foul on the Wolfpack, and it'll be on Caleb Martin. And it's his first. It's the 5th on State here in the second half.
And you see B.J. Anya in the paint, and that is Anya with the block. So that will be number 208, which puts him at number 1 all-time at NC State, all-time blocks leader.
Turner at the line. He's now got 10 on his first free throw of the evening. Edie Jallo returns for Boston College as A.J. Turner at the line, the 6'7" freshman, Mount Clemens, Michigan. The highest rated recruit at Boston College since Craig Smith.
So Turner was ahead of Robinson?
Absolutely. Three ball is no good. Here is Carter and the Eagles on the run. Eli spots for 3. And Jallo knocked it away. Last touched Anya, says Jamie Lucky. And now Mike Eads and Jamie Lucky going to talk. They'll make the change.
And that's a great piece of officiating between 2 of the ACC's best. Jamie Lucky, Mike Eads getting involved. And if one has a better view of it, and they may have not, even though it was, they could have gone off of B.J. Anya, though.
Yep.
I still think they're 2 of the best.
Almost 8 minutes gone here, second half. 3-point ball game. And here is Barber. Carter tries to stay with him, and Barber draws the foul. Eli Carter slow to get up, but B.J. Anya now NC State's career leader in block shots. And a moment ago, as Corey told you, 208 comes against Eli Carter, but the Pack still trails in Raleigh.
ACC College Hoops is brought to you by the official corporate champions of the ACC, Bojangles, Haviland, and Food Lion.
Well, NC State's practice facility on campus. Got to have one of those now. They got a good one.
It's a must.
Yep.
If you don't have one of those, you're not getting the recruits that you need to have.
Barber at the free throw line after the foul a moment ago on Carter. The Cats got 18. State trails by 3. And Barber will have a couple here. He's got 5 rebounds and 2 assists, and now has 19 points.
And Cat Barber in exclusive company with, of course, the guy that I think is the best point guard to ever play in the ACC. My man, Mr. Chibbs, Kenny Anderson.
Right.
But the only two guys to ever average over 23 points, 4 assists, and 4 rebounds for a season in ACC history. But Kenny was doing it about 26 points per game, 5.5 boards, 6 assists. You know, his numbers were even a little more inflated. But the crazy part about that, he didn't even win ACC Player of the Year that year.
Yep.
Rodney Monroe from here at NC State.
Turner, 3. All of a sudden, the Eagles have had a hard time dialing the long ball.
It has, and really the momentum has swung in the favor of NC State.
Front rim miss from Barber that would have given State the lead.
But that was a great foul, and even though he didn't want it, that ends up being a great foul because that would have been a wide-open layup for Eli Carter for an easy bucket for Boston College.
Second on Caleb Martin, 6 on NC State. Clifford's back in for the Los Angeles redshirt freshman Edie Jallow in BC's lineup.
We talk about BC. They've actually, with Jerome Robinson and A.J. Turner there coming back next year, they've got another guy from the area coming in. Todd Graves, a point guard, High Point Christian, will be joining the Eagles next year.
Carter knocks down just his second field goal. He's only got 4 points tonight, Corey.
And they really haven't needed him to be as much of a scorer because they've had so many other guys stepping up, especially Dennis Clifford on the interior.
3-point lead, just under 11 to go. Caleb shoots for the tie and hits. 7 for Caleb Martin, 6 here in the second half. Well, BC led by 4 at the break, by as many as 13 in the first half, and now the game's tied up. Carter misses from out front. And now Barber and the Wolfpack trying to regain the lead while dictating the tempo, but they lost the ball, and a hell ball will go to Boston College here. Third time they've led at the half this year for Jim Christian in ACC play. We'll see what happened to the other two, Corey.
Well, and that's one of the byproducts of having such a young team, and even having that success early, they don't really know yet how to go about winning games. So, and Eli Carter playing the point guard position, but he's not a true point guard. So this is a first for him as well, even though he's a fifth-year college basketball player. This is the first for him being a point guard, so managing these type of situations has been difficult for the Eagles all year long.
Carter in traffic. Look at this. Pivot and a repivot, and his third field goal at the end.
And that's what happens when you put guards playing down in the post. They have no idea what they're doing, and you saw that with Cat Barber defensively. He looked like a fish out of water on that one.
2-point lead for Boston College. Boy, Abu's been quiet since the early flurry, hasn't he? Barber shoots the tie and does. 11 and a half, now 22 for Barber. His 19th game of the year of 20 or more.
And we could end up seeing a battle of 2 of the best scoring guards in the conference heading down this last 9 minutes plus here at PNC Arena.
Ball got deflected. 5 turnovers on BC. Barber had it poked away. State gives it right back. 3 on 3. Robinson blew the layup. Still tied at 57.
And that's a play where Jerome Robinson, timing, just getting back into action, missed the layup. But NC State did Boston College a favor because they weren't aggressively attacking.
And Clifford battling Abu defensively. Will be whistled for his first. Dennis turned 24 on Leap Day Monday. And that'll be the 7th team foul on Boston College.
So he's a Leap Day baby.
He is. February 29th, Dennis Clifford. Leap Day.
So really, that was only his 6th birthday.
Yes, you could. If you want to go that route, we could go that route.
But John shaking his head, looking at me.
John
But
Mandry, our statistician. Yes, John, do the numbers.
John, you got to do my numbers right there. Look at it. If he's 24, you only get leap year once every 4 years. Hey, that's 6.
Why did I offer you that nugget, Alexander? Tied at 57. Abu missed the front end of the 1-and-1. Barnes-Tompkins trying to get it to Carter. Boy, Barber's defensive prowess is also pretty good. Here's Clifford off the nice pass. 16 now for Dennis Clifford.
And that's a beautiful move by Clifford to be able to go to the left hand. And that's one of the things we noticed about him when he first came into the ACC. He was very adept around the basket using both hands. Some may call it amphibious. I'll go with ambidextrous.
Gotcha. Whistle and a foul. Offensive foul on the Pack. Jamie Luckey has tagged B.J. Anya with his 4th, 7th on the Wolfpack with 8:09 to go. Hey, by the way, earlier in the first half, we asked you which player in tonight's games played in 42 different arenas in his college career. It's our Toyota trivia. Eli Carter.
Only could be one person simply because he's played in 3 separate conferences for 3 different colleges.
Tonight is arena number 42. By the way, next week in Washington, the Verizon Center will not be 43. Already played there when he was at Rutgers.
Right, because Rutgers was in the Big East at the time, and that's the home of the Georgetown Hoyas of when they were in the Big East.
By the way, to finish Bob Rathbun's note, Carter has also played in 24 states and 2 foreign countries in his college career. Eagles by 2, back after this. Two-point game as we rejoin you from Raleigh with Corey Alexander, West Durham ACC College Hoops on a Wednesday night. Boston College trying to win for the first time in league play. And we get to our game summary.
And you look at the numbers for Boston College, 17 assists, and they have moved the ball extremely well. The defensive effort from NC State has been up and down and allowed Boston College to build some momentum on their offensive end as well as confidence. And Dennis Clifford has really given them a tremendous bonus the way that he's played in the paint. 17 now for Clifford, who hit the front end of the 1-and-1 for Christian's team. BC is 5 of 10 at the line. And Leonard Freeman, who played briefly in the first half, is back in the ballgame now to replace Abu, who's got 4 fouls. And Clifford hit both the free throws. 18 for Clifford. 4-point game. .740 to go. Barber. Look at this. Through traffic. Layup fell off the front to Turner. But BC doing a very good job not fouling Cat Barber and just contesting his shots. And NC State doing a very good job getting back on transition defense and the turnover by Eli Carter. But Boston College has done a very good job today. Only 6 turnovers in this game. They've been able to execute offensively the way that they've wanted to. Now it's up to NC State to be able to do so, to put some points on the board and try to tie this game back up.
Caleb Martin. Step back on Turner. And we're going to whistle and foul. Tim Kelly out from underneath, and it's on Clifford.
Now, Wes, you know how much I love Cody and Caleb Martin. One, because they're Oak Hill guys, so, you know, they're the little brothers.
Sure, I got you.
So when I say this, I mean it with the most endearing thought. That was a horrible shot. At this point in the game,
right,
you know, for NC State, when you're having success running your offense and getting the things that you need, you don't need a crossover step back 3 at that point. That's one of the areas that Mark Godfrey has had to deal with this year from Caleb, as well as Maverick Rowan and Cat Barber to an extent, as to what shots you take. He wants, of course, to make sure that those guys get their looks, but it's what shots you take, especially when you consider time and score.
Leonard Freeman, just a 53% free throw shooter, missed the front end of that 1-and-1. Carter the catch and layup. Nice pass by the big fella, too.
And that's not his first one. He's been dropping dimes all day. You put him in the middle of your offense, and his passing ability, and at 7 foot, he's able to be able to pick you apart. You got to get pressure on him. and give Dennis Clifford a tremendous amount of credit for the way that he's played here this evening.
Well, 6-point lead now for Boston College with 6.5 to go. State's looking for points. They've been scoreless in the last 3 minutes. We've talked about a night of the guards, and we've gotten it.
And you got two great ones here. Eli Carter with the pull-up in the lane. Cat Barber continues to knock down tough shots. That one about as easy as he's going to find on the night. And then both of them actually playing in the post, which they shouldn't do that. That's not good for these two guards.
Well, Barber, the ACC's leading scorer, at 23 points and change in conference play. Same number in his regular season totals. And he's had quite a campaign for Godfrey. And then the well-traveled Eli Carter. You give him credit. It's not easy to come in and be the old guy of a young basketball team.
Absolutely. 10 newcomers on this team. 9 of those newcomers are freshmen. And the only one that is not is Eli Carter, the graduate transfer. And he's had to shoulder a tremendous load for the Eagles this season.
Cody Martin to Caleb. He'll shoot for 3. And hit! And 1! 9.5, 10 in the game. Barnes-Tompkins going to give Caleb Martin the chance for the rare 4-point play.
And I just gave it to Caleb for the horrible shot, so I've got to give him his credit for a big shot here, but such a better shot simply because it was created by one of his teammates who happens to be his twin brother, Cody Martin, getting into the paint and finding Caleb on the wing, who was able to get an opportunity but not finish the 4-point play.
State's missed the front end of the 1-and-1, 2 1-and-1s. Abu and Freeman, and now a 3-point or 4-point chance, if you will. Still 3-point lead for BC. Clifford. Now Eli Carter with 9 to shoot, and Barber defends. Carter leans in, gets the roll. 10 for Eli Carter.
And that was a tough shot by Eli Carter there. He actually tried to get the contact from Cat Barber, draw the foul. Didn't get it, but still had the concentration to be able to finish off the play.
It may be about those two guys now here, Corey, for the final 5:40 tonight.
I think that both of them are going to have something to say about it.
Here's Eli Carter off the State turnover, and Maverick Rowan a reach-in foul.
And that was a frustration foul by Rowan. He felt like that basketball was kicked and led to a turnover. But by stopping the break, he puts Eli Carter at the free throw line, and now that gives you an opportunity to put the top scorer from the Eagles on the line to put 2 more points on the board and increase their lead.
Eli Carter, a year ago with the Gators. Now remember, the injuries, leg injuries the last 2 years kind of sidetracked him a little bit as well. He only averaged 9 points a year ago for Florida. He had 12 double-figure games. He's had 7 games of 20 or more this year for Boston College.
Never a question as to whether or not he can score.
Free throw good. You want to look ahead now. BC's got 3 guys with 3, Abu and Anya 4 each.
But you look at those 2 guys that NC State has in foul trouble, and then think about what Dennis Clifford has been able to do in this game. The foul trouble is definitely bigger on the side of the Wolfpack because that's 2 of their 3 frontline guys.
Carter makes it a 7-point Eagle lead. 10 second-half points, 12 on the night for the Patterson, New Jersey native Eli Carter.
And the response from Boston College, because when this game was actually tied up off of the Caleb Martin 3 earlier in the half.
Barber misfires on the 3. Robinson saves the rebound for Carter.
You really weren't sure after NC State tied this game how BC, with this young team that doesn't know how to win in the ACC yet, how they would respond. But it's been a great response as they built up a 7-point lead and now an opportunity to add to it on their offensive end.
Step back 3. Bounced out for Carter for Maverick Rowan's rebound. Wolfpack needs a little momentum here.
But at this point, maybe it's the time to try to get the ball in the hands of Abu and allow him to operate on the block. He had so much success early in this game.
Barber fouled as he took off on the baseline. And that's Carter drawing his 3rd. And that's 10 on Boston College with 4:40 to play. So 2 shots on every common foul. And Anthony Barber will go to the line. We're here in the second half. He has 11 and 22 in the contest. And the first miss of the night on his 6th try.
And a great free throw shooter. That's not something you see often. And a break for Boston College, because even if he makes this one, they come away with only 1 point on this possession.
And a rare miss of 2. Caleb Martin, though, the rebound. Barber might swap 2 free throws for a 3, though, huh?
I've known that dude since he was 14, 15 years old. I don't think I've ever seen him miss 2 free throws.
Caleb Martin for 3. They traded 2 for 3.
They definitely did that, and it turns out well for the Wolfpack. And again, it's one of those times to see how will this young Boston College team respond, as the crowd here at the PNC Arena is definitely not on their side.
Up 4, Clifford to work. Around Anya, got it blocked, but got it back. 5 to shoot for Carter. 2, fires for 3. Back rim miss. Anya the rebound. Barber. Rowan. Well, I'm not like Caleb Martin tee another one up, Corey.
Well, if you do, you run something for him and allow him to be able to get on the move into a spot, or you can go with Rowan. Either one of these guys is capable of knocking down the 3. Great execution by the Wolfpack right there. And a good call by my man Wes Durham, looking for the 3 ball.
State to within 1. Rowan's got 8.5. Jim Christian wants a timeout. Corey, it might not be X's and O's. Now it's got to be about winning for BC, right?
Well, and now for NC State, it's about someone other than Cat Barber stepping up. And Caleb Martin does that on 1 possession. And then you see Maverick Rowan knocking down the 2nd to get him within 1.
ACC College Hoops is sponsored by Wix Filters. Go to wixfilters.com to find a local distributor nearest you. Your local Toyota dealers. Let's go places. And Hardee's.
Well, the unbelievable history of the Atlantic Coast Conference Tournament. The first year it went to our nation's capital, 1976. Wonderful Wally Walker and the Cavaliers of Terry Holland beat North Carolina to win the title at Landover at Capitol Center. Caleb Martin has filled it up for the Pack here in the second half.
And now he's getting it done on the defensive end. He didn't allow B.J. Anya to get another block. Caleb Martin was the one picking up the block on the last possession.
Robinson. And Abu the rebound. And we get a collision in the backcourt. Rowan and Barnes-Tompkins.
Barnes-Tompkins actually had a concussion earlier in the year that caused him to miss some games. And seeing him go to the floor like that, holding his head, you don't want to speculate, but you're hoping that's not it. As you see these 2 guys get tangled up and going to the ground, and Barnes-Tompkins immediately puts the left hand on his head.
Oh.
Good to see him up.
Okay, we'll check out the freshman from Phoenix.
Yeah, see, that's just like a teammate. The guy's holding his head, and he goes over there, and you smack him right on the head. That's why you know you have 9 freshmen on this team. He's got the smile going right there. I'm sure that's what was mentioned to him.
Bill Wazinski, one of Jim Christian's assistants.
And Phil was actually smiling with him. I'm sure they had something to do with Edie Dete smacking him on the head as he walks over. It's a great teammate to have. You got to love it.
Sandy's looking at Jallo like, man, why'd you hit me in the head? 2:50 to go. 1 point lead for BC, and Barber looking in. There's a boo. Threw it away. Turner. Caleb Martin to beat. Foul on the play. 3 on Caleb Martin, 10 on the Wolfpack.
And another one of those responses from Boston College. Great defensive effort. And Abu, who really hasn't been much of a factor since early in this game, and playing against the double team, throws it right into the hands of Turner, who's unable to come away with his first free throw.
He's got 11 in the game. His first time back in 6 games. Robinson's first appearance in 10. And A.J. Turner. Missed them both.
And this is that time where you talk about the freshmen knowing how to win games. Part of that is you have to take advantage of all those opportunities when you get them, and you can't walk away with 2 empty free throws.
Rowan with Turner all over.
But speaking of freshmen on the other end, Maverick Rowan knocking down a huge shot for the Wolfpack.
State's first lead, Corey, since it was 18-16. 2:10 to go. Can the Eagles answer? Carter in traffic and one.
And that's the response. Eli Carter, 5th-year graduate transfer. As we see Maverick Rowan knocking down the 3 on the earlier possession. But it's Eli Carter with the contact, the concentration, the finish, and an opportunity to give his team back the lead at the free throw line.
12 and a half, 14 in the game for Carter. Missed the free throw, Owens the rebound.
And that's the second offensive rebound off of a free throw for Boston College here in the second half. Dennis Clifford got the first one, and then Garland Owens coming up and making a huge play for his team, getting them the basketball back with an opportunity to gain the lead.
Carter, Clifford the screen, Carter the 3. Abu the rebound and the miss, and here is Barber quickly. All the way to the basket, and one. He'll get a foul because Carter reached across, and that's his 4th, Corey.
But Cat Barber understands when he has you on your heels, he's going to find his way to the rim. And it's not always to score. Most of the time it's to get to the free throw line. And right here, extremely difficult shot, but he knew he was going to get the contact and get an opportunity at the line. But remember, Cat missed his last 2 free throws. And we'll see if that has any effect on, the ACC's leading scorer and free throw maker as he gets to the line.
22 points, 8 of 20 from the floor, 5 rebounds, half dozen assists for Barber. And the first one good. This all-ACC ballot is interesting. There's some positions that are a little fluid, but there's some locks.
I think
this is one of them.
I think there are 5 locks. I think that first team is locked in. Brogdon, Bryce Johnson, Sheldon McClellan at Miami, Cat Barber, Grayson Allen. I think that's the 5. It's locked in.
You're pretty locked in on that.
Hey, man, I've done this before,
2-point game after the Barber free throws. Owens on the drive. Runner, tough shot. Garland Owens with 11 now in his 5th field goal.
And Garland Owens now with 2 huge plays back-to-back for Boston College. And we mentioned the newcomers coming to this team. Well, Garland Owens is one of the very few veterans they have back. And now he's starting to play very good basketball at the end of this game.
15 to shoot for Abu against Owens. Ball away, short, deflected out, and finally controlled on the bounce by Carter. 45 seconds left, about an 18-second differential. Tied at 71 and a BC timeout.
Timeout, Boston College.
So Jim Christian's team, 0-16 in the league, 7-22 overall, finds themselves locked up at 71.
And Garland Owens driving to the rim, does a great job avoiding the contact. And a tough finish over top of Caleb Martin to tie the basketball game. And now the defensive effort by Boston College to get it back and doing the job on the block against the boot.
Well, no ball games on the slate tomorrow night in the league. A full day on Saturday. We'll get you started at high noon. I like Jerron Blossom game on the first team All-ACC. He and the Clemson Tigers will be at the Conte Forum in Chestnut Hill to meet Eli Carter and Boston College. They won an earlier meeting this year in Greenville, 65-54. Blossom game went to work last night in a Tiger loss to Clemson, or to Virginia.
He did. He is a monster. I love him, but he still ain't on the first team. Because you tell me who on that first team. Who do you take off of my first team to put him on?
I take Sheldon McClellan off your first team.
Really, the most efficient player in the ACC on the team that's probably going to win the ACC. You're going to take him off?
This is why you're the analyst and I'm the play-by-play guy.
This is why I like hanging out with you. This is why it's so much fun.
Now you will also recognize that the first team argument also for Demetrius Jackson and what he's done for Notre Dame this year too.
I love DJ.
Right.
Love him. I think he's a first-round pick, but he's a second-team All-ACC player this year because when you look at Notre Dame and what they've been able to do outside of Cat Barber, I'm looking at the win-loss total for what these teams have done. And if you look at Bryce, Malcolm, Grayson, and Sheldon, those teams are at the top of the league.
On the drive, Robinson, 17 to shoot. Clifford, one dribble, and now Carter. This is what you expect anyway.
Absolutely. Cat Barber, Eli Carter, these two guys are going to decide the game.
Rattled off the three. Clifford had it. They roll to the deck. Anya there. Tried to make the save. And finally, Robinson in traffic foul. With 17 seconds left, Jerome Robinson from Broughton High and Raleigh will go to the line to try and unlock the tie.
Well, how about in that scrum, NC State players were trying to call a timeout, and Boston College players were trying to get the basketball. As you see, Dennis Clifford doing a tremendous job getting involved in the rebounding, but as everyone goes to the floor, everyone's trying to call a timeout, but Sammy Barnes-Hopkins is trying to take the basketball away. No whistle, you keep playing, and Boston College on that possession, the 50-50 balls, they wanted it just a little bit more.
Now this is 2 shots for Jerome Robinson. He's 2 of 6 at the line tonight. And front rim miss there. .71 all. Second one good.
And that'll be interesting to see whether Mark Godfrey plays this out or if he wants a timeout. I believe he's going to call the timeout.
And there is the timeout with 15.9 left.
Timeout, Wolfpack.
Wow.
And I like the call by Mark Godfrey to give his team exactly what he wants for them to be able to do on the offensive end of the floor. But I think it's important for NC State to try to make a play early enough in this 15-9. Don't try to hold it for the last shot.
Right.
When you don't have the lead, I see teams do that all the time. That doesn't make sense. If you don't have a lead, don't hold the ball for the last shot. Give yourself a chance for offensive rebound or to extend the game.
Corey, is it just academic that this is going to be Barber?
I believe the ball's going to be in his hands, no question about it. Now, whether or not he takes the shot is a different question, but knowing Cat Barber the way that I do, most likely he will take the shot. But he has to be able to recognize that BC knows he's going to get it. So when he draws in the defense, the best play may be for him to get it to Rowan or to Caleb Martin, who have both knocked down big shots here for them recently.
Well, Cat Barber's been fantastic again here tonight when you start looking at not only scoring, but the way he's directed NC State.
And it took 12 minutes for him to get into the scoring column in the first half, but once he got going for real. And not only scoring, but 6 assists on the evening for Cat Barber. So he's helping his teammates and doing the job defensively. And then the one you love, the step back and one.
Come on.
In the corner that we'll just call the tough bucket from Cat Barber.
Well, you mentioned Caleb Martin. He's hit 4 threes in this half. Maverick Rowan's hit 3 threes in a half that's seen NC State from three-point territory go 7 of 11. And Caleb and Cody Martin with Barber, Anya, and Rowan are on the floor. 15.9 left. Boston College leads 72-71, and here's the Cat. Rowan shoots for the lead. Rimmed off, deflected. Barber with 6, launches. Anya, inside they scramble. out of bounds to State with 1.1.
And right now, I believe the officials need to go to the monitor and get an opportunity to make sure that they've got that correct and know who the ball goes to. Under 2 minutes, they can do that.
Tim Kelly.
And they're going to do just that. Tim Kelly, Mike Eads getting together. And Mike Eads actually called that from half court, basically saying, hey, let's make sure we've got it together. And we know for certain that this ball goes to NC State. And a great look by Rowan. Just comes up a little bit short, but then, and at this point, Barber doesn't really need to get back behind the three-point line because they're only down one. He could have taken that shot inside the line, but to see that scramble and to check whose basketball it is and also how much time it should be on the clock to make sure they have that right. All those things, of course, very important right now, especially for the Wolfpack right under their basket.
Boy, how about these guys here, huh? A gutty effort for a team that's winless in 16 league games.
Absolutely, and you and I both have covered them a lot this year. And I watched them play at home against North Carolina. I thought that's the best game they played all year. They came away with the loss until this one, where I think they've come up with a great performance here against NC State.
Another look.
And it's even tough to see at that angle simply because there's so many bodies in there. We get another look here. And everyone going after the basketball. Both teams playing with a tremendous amount of desperation at this point. We know Anya touches it here, but in that crowd, it's so difficult to see who touched that last.
Tim Kelly on the baseline signals BC. Maybe this might be one of our best looks.
And I think they got it right. Tim Kelly right on top. I think that it was off of Boston College, so that basketball most likely will go back to NC State.
Corey, with 1.1 to go, is this at the rim?
You have more than enough time to be able to get a shot off, so it doesn't have to be at the rim.
But it's got to be a clean catch and shot.
It's got to be a clean catch and shot with 1.1 second. And you see Barnes Tompkins in the middle touches it there. And he's the only one that touches that basketball. Jerome Robinson lays out for it as if he's going to go after the ball, knowing that it goes off of his teammate. But then he pulls up at the end and doesn't touch it. But Tim Kelly right on top of it. Great piece of officiating right there to make the call. So you have to have significant evidence that is going to overturn it, and there's nowhere near enough evidence to overturn that and give it back to Boston College.
Well, Jim Christian, BC's not had a ACC win until late last year. At the end of the regular season, they won at Virginia Tech.
Now remember, NCAA tournament two years ago, BJ Anya tip in at the buzzer to give NC State a win over, I can't remember that part, but I know he was the guy that had the game-winning basket. So at the rim, you think about a guy 7'9" wingspan, it could be something up to Anya at the rim.
Barber. Caleb Martin puts it in play. Rowan the catch. NC State wins.
At this point, now it's about the officials making sure he got it off in time, and I don't believe there's any question. Give Mark Gottfried a tremendous amount of credit. A great play design. And Maverick Rowan, the game winner. I'm sure not the guy that anyone expected to be able to get it in a heartbreaking defeat for Boston College.
Maverick Rowan. And they're looking for confirmation here on the catch and release before the red light. And Maverick Rowan looks like he's given NC State a 73-72 win at the Horn. Ball game over in Raleigh. Rowan is the hero for the Wolfpack. State, who trailed by as many as 13 in the first half, 4 at halftime, wins it at the wire tonight in Raleigh. They're 5-12 in the ACC, 15-15 overall. Hard luck for BC, who's now winless in 17 league games, Corey.
And you hate for Boston College to play this well and not be able to come away with the win, but give the credit to the Wolfpack for finding a way to get it done with 1.1 left in regulation.
Great to be with the Emmy Award-winning Corey Alexander. Dave Berenger, our producer, Billy McCoy, our director. You've been watching ACC College Hoops on your regional sports network on a winning night for the Pack.